Hey all you Switch fans, welcome back to another eShop Deals video. We got a lot of great choices, a lot of big name titles, and a lot of indie games. So let's jump right in and let's check out the deals. Alright, so first and foremost, Bethesda Games is currently having a sale on every game they have on the eShop. Every one of their games is now currently 50% off or more. So this is including titles like Skyrim, the Wolfenstein games, and the Doom games. So just tons of great options. In particular, Skyrim on the Switch plays wonderfully. I've spent many hours in that, and I know it's one of those games that people have bought and rebought so many times, but if you don't have it for the Switch, I really do recommend it. It's really enjoyable and portable. Alright, my first individual game choice though is Greak, Memories of Azure. Greak is sort of a mix between maybe something kind of like Hollow Knight along with the old Lost Vikings games. The old Lost Viking games were a game where you played as a trio of characters and you would switch back and forth between them to take on each of their abilities to solve these different platforming puzzles. And they've basically taken that concept and applied it to a really beautiful 2D hand-drawn game with a lot of really great atmosphere. So you start out as the main character Greak, and along the way you find your other siblings, and you can switch back and forth between these siblings. They all have different ways of attacking, different ways of moving. There's just lots and lots of variety in the gameplay, and the game is drop dead gorgeous. Please note though that this is a single player game, so even though the ability to switch between characters is there, it's all intended as a single player experience, so you're not going to be able to have anyone join you on that, which in my opinion is just a little bit disappointing. I really think this game could have had a whole new layer of depth if you could have added co-op into it. But even so, it's at a great price right now. It's matching its previous low for 50% off for $9.99. Alright, the next game that I'm going to recommend, I've talked about before in a deal video. It's Rogue Heroes Ruins of Tassos. Rogue Heroes is essentially if you took a Legend of Zelda style game and turned it into a roguelike. You'll be choosing between multiple different classes. You'll be making your way into procedurally generated dungeons. You'll be collecting resources and gems, and then ultimately spending all those resources at building up your town, which will in turn allow your character to build up their abilities. So there is just actually a little bit of sort of like a Stardew Valley, a Harvest Moon style bit of gameplay, because you are building a town, which even includes like a small garden. So there is a cool town building mechanic there. However, that is not a big part of the game, so do not go in expecting that sort of simulation. I do think that Rogue Heroes is a little bit rough around the edges, so this lower price really definitely makes it feel more like a competitive deal. And it is currently matching its previous low, 60% off for $7.99. Alright, so my next recommendation is South Park: The Stick of Truth. This game goes on sale quite a bit, but I wanted to take an opportunity to talk about it. I just wanted to say that I think even if you're not really into South Park and you can tolerate sort of all the crass humor, and if you're a big fan of the Paper Mario games, you're going to really like this one. The combat mechanics feel extremely similar to Paper Mario, with sort of an action time pressing for all the different moves. It's a fairly simple RPG. This is my favorite of the two South Park Ubisoft games. I think they're both really good, but for me, this one just edges out the other just a tiny bit. And it is currently 60% off for $11.99. It's a very decent length game, so I think you're going to get a lot of playtime for that amount of money. Alright, also on sale is Dragon Quest Builders 2. I have not yet played the second one. I've played the first one quite a bit, but I understand that this is basically more of that, but better. But if you're not familiar with the Dragon Quest Builders series, basically take Minecraft, but give it a much stronger RPG story. There's also a really fun town building mechanic where you can bring in villagers, you can level up these towns, and then gather supplies, and these towns are sort of your base where you can go back, get resupplied, visit with all these other characters. Just a really fun gameplay loop of going out, getting materials, crafting, building up your town, and going on these RPG adventures. So if you've ever played Minecraft but thought, you know what, I would much rather have a game with a bit more story, then Dragon Quest Builders is going to be perfect for you. And it is currently 40% off for a very reasonable $29.99. It is a big game. Alright, also on sale this week is Zombie Rollerz Pinball Heroes. I just got a chance recently to play this on this channel, and I absolutely loved this genre mashup between a pinball game and a roguelike. I'm a sucker for pinball mashup games in general. In fact, there's going to be another pinball mashup game in this deals list. But this has all the trappings of a great RPG roguelike, learning new abilities, collecting items, collecting loot, unlocking new characters, and it's all sandwiched inside this super colorful, very intuitive playing pinball game. It's not stressful. In fact, I found it quite relaxing for a roguelike game, really good to wind down with, or maybe listen to a podcast while you're playing or something along those lines. It's not a deep discount right now, but it is the cheapest that's been so far, and it's only gone on sale a couple of times. It is currently 33% for $9.99. Me personally, again, as a fan of these kind of genre mashups with pinball, that is a no-brainer price, but obviously for you, you're gonna have to judge whether or not that is gonna hit the sweet spot for you. Also on sale are the Knights of Pen and Paper games. I've been wanting to talk about these for a while. I've actually never played these on the Switch. I always played the mobile versions on either a tablet or my phone, but these are a really fun, unique point-and-click RPG adventure. All of these games will take place where your characters are sitting at a table and you have the dungeon master sitting in front of you telling the story. So it's like you're seeing Dungeons and Dragons come to life in the background. These are really simple RPG games, but they're super addictive, quite relaxing actually, and really easy to get into. So they have the one bundle, which is both of the Knights of Pen and Paper games and Galaxies of Pen and Paper, which I've never tried Galaxies of Pen and Paper, but it's basically the same style of game, but with a space theme. That bundle is currently 55% off for $13.49. However, all of the individual games are also on sale. Plus, there's also a bundle that just includes the two Knights of Pen and Paper, so not that Galaxy one. The bundle with just the Knights of Pen and Paper games is currently 65% off for $7.87. But if you're not convinced and you just want to try one of them for a cheap price, I would try Knights of Pen and Paper 2. It still sticks to the fantasy setting of the first game, but all the graphics are now at a 16-bit style rather than 8-bit, and I find that a lot more pleasing. And the game in general just has a lot more tweaks that I think improve a lot of the mechanics. And that game is currently 70% off for a very cheap $3.24. All right, like I said, I love pinball genre mashups, and here's another one. It is Momonga Pinball Adventures. This is a very simple pinball game where you play as a flying squirrel taking on the owls that are threatening your lands. It's very bright and colorful, very easy to get into and quickly have a good time. However, be forewarned, this game is short, and I mean like finish in one sitting kind of short. So I would only ever recommend this on the sale, and it's basically as cheap as it's ever gonna get. It is currently 67% off for $1.99. If you're looking for a fun little way to kill 2 to 3 hours, I really think you couldn't do better than this one. Also on sale this week, and it goes on sale quite a bit, but I wanted to talk about it at least one time, is Rayman Legends. Rayman Legends is an absolutely superb 2D platformer, quite possibly one of the best ones in the last 20 years. That might sound hyperbolic, but I'm being totally serious. It will probably make many publications' top 10 best 2D platformer lists. So if you've never played it, now is just as good of a time as ever to jump in. It's currently 75% off for $9.99. It has gone on that price many more times, so there's no big rush. You could just wishlist it if you want for now. But it has never gone lower than that price before, so I don't think Ubisoft is too keen on making any cheaper than that, so it's as good as it's gonna be. All right, also on sale this week is a great little indie gem, Death Road to Canada. Death Road to Canada is basically the Oregon Trail mixed with a zombie apocalypse game. You get to pick a randomized character, suit them up, and make your way across the country, stopping at grocery stores and schools and other locations to fight your way through zombies, collect supplies, hopefully collect new passengers to come along with you. The game is super comical, really has a great sense of humor, and especially in the writing, it's just really funny. It is a pretty tough game. Death can come quickly and swiftly, so you have to be careful. Thankfully, the game can be played up to 4-player co-op, so that will really help mitigate some of the difficulty, as long as your co-op partner knows what they're doing. I've played this one time with my wife, and it went very poorly. But if that co-op partner knows what they're doing, you can really wreak some havoc on those zombies. And Death Road to Canada is at its lowest price ever for 60% off for $5.99. Best deal it's ever been. All right, my next game pick is Alba, a wildlife adventure. Alba is about a little girl that you play as who is visiting her grandparents on this Mediterranean island. It's a very simple, relaxing game where you go about the island, helping other people with their tasks and solving problems for them. It's got a really nice little photography gameplay mechanic where you are searching for animals and collecting photos of them. I'm always a sucker for games that have a nice photography element. I don't know what it is, but it's just so much fun to collect all those images and to seek out all the rare animals. So again, this is not a challenging game at all. It's very relaxing, but if that's what you're looking for, it is perfect. It's been very well reviewed, and it is currently at its lowest price ever for 40% off for $11.99. Best deal it's ever been so far. All right, my next pick is Super Pixel Racers. I do not own this game yet, so this recommendation is not coming from personal experience. But this game has been on my wish list for quite a while. I've really wanted to check it out. The PC reviews are very good, and so are the reviews on the other systems. I couldn't find any official reviews for the Switch version, but from the gameplay I've seen, it looks like it performs perfectly on the Switch. It's basically a pixel rally racer, and it plays very much in the same perspective as the old RC Pro-Am games. I'm a huge fan of the old top-down arcade-style racing games, so I'm really excited to try this one out. Again, I haven't played it personally, so this isn't my personal recommendation, but all the reviews I've found are either very solid or really great. But more importantly, Super Pixel Racers came out in 2020, and this is the first and only time it has ever gone on sale. So it is at its lowest price ever for 61% off for $5.90. I do very much like to put a spotlight on these games that rarely go on sale. I think that's important information for you guys, the consumer, to know about. So if this one looks good to you, make sure you don't sleep on it. All right, my next pick is Neurovoider. Neurovoider is a hack and slash twin stick shooter roguelike. I actually played Neurovoider before I even knew what a roguelike was, and I was absolutely taken by this game. You play as a little cybernetic robot on legs, and each of your arms can either hold a certain type of weapon or a melee weapon. So you play through all these dungeon-like arenas, taking on these other robots, collecting their arms so that you can then augment yourself with new guns or new melee abilities. It's really addictive, it's very simple, but it's super polished. It's a great roguelike if you're not familiar with that genre and you want to try it out to see what you think. Seriously, Neurovoider is one of my favorite indie games ever on the Switch. And it is at its lowest price ever for 75% off for $3.49. All right, my next choice is Mighty Goose. There's not a lot to say about Mighty Goose. It's pretty straightforward as to what you're getting. It's basically if you took Metal Slug, a run and gun style game, and you made the main character a cybernetic goose. The game has great pixel graphics, a great soundtrack, great sense of humor, and lots of weapons to collect. This is just great old school fun, but on steroids. Mighty Goose has only been on sale twice, and this is its cheapest price yet. It is currently 50% off for $9.99. All right, my next pick is Super Magbot. Super Magbot is a bit of a hidden gem. I don't hear a lot of people talking about it. Basically, it's a platformer where you play as a robot, and your ability to move is regulated by two different arms that have two different magnetic polarities. So you see all these magnetic pads, and you shift your polarity to either pull yourself or push yourself away from different platforms. The game definitely has a bit of a steep learning curve at the first. The whole polarity mechanics take a little while to get used to, but once you do get used to them, they feel super natural and super unique, really unlike any other platformer I've ever played. Yeah, Super Magbot, pretty challenging, but if you're up for the challenge, I think you're going to enjoy this one. And it is currently 75% off for $4.49. All right, my next pick is Lovers in a Dangerous Spacetime. The Switch, it really does suffer from a huge glut of very samey feeling four-player, sort of crazy, chaotic co-op games. Lovers in a Dangerous Spacetime, though, is very different from all the rest. You can play with up to 4 players, and you are guiding this large circular ship through all these twin stick style run and gun levels. There are multiple stations inside the ship, and it's impossible for everyone to man all of them all the time. So there's a lot of coordination of moving around the stations. Different stations control the gun. There's a middle station which will control the way the ship is moving. It's just super crazy fun, trying to yell at each other and coordinate who's going to be on this gun, who's going to be on this to block bullets, who's going to guide the ship. This game can be played single player, and it's pretty fun single player, but it really, truly shines as a co-op experience. It is currently matching its previous low for 50% off for $7.49. It's gone on sale quite often at that price, so you could always just wishlist it, but do know it's probably not going to go too much cheaper than this. All right, my next pick is Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the game. I actually just had this on a deals list maybe 2-3 weeks ago, but Ubisoft came back and they dropped it to its new lowest price. If you're not familiar, this is an amazing beat 'em up with some really great RPG mechanics to level up your character as you play. Undoubtedly, this game features what could be considered some of the greatest pixel art ever. It is drop dead gorgeous. It can be a fairly difficult beat 'em up though, so if you're looking for something more casual where you can blaze right through the levels, this is probably not the one for you. You are definitely going to hit walls, which will require replaying levels to grind and level up your character to be able to finally get through them. But if you're okay with that gameplay style, you're going to really love this one. And it is at its lowest price ever for 67% off for $4.90. Yeah, I bought this game full price on the Xbox 360, then I bought it full price again on the Switch, so for $4.90, it's an insane deal. You definitely should pick it up if you have even a passing interest in it. All right, the next game I'm going to recommend is Splasher. Splasher is like if you took Super Meat Boy, but added some unique paint mechanics. The painting mechanics are where you can paint out different sort of like slime on the walls, and the slime will react differently to the platforming mechanics. So some slime will make you bounce, some slime will make you stick, some slide will make you slide. This is an extremely underrated platformer. I think it's actually one of the best on the Switch. I believe, don't quote me on this, but I think this came from some ex-devs who worked on the Rayman games. It's not the Rayman games, it's some other big title. I can't remember exactly. If you love the original Super Meat Boy and you really want more of that sort of tough as nails platforming action, you are really going to like Splasher. I would actually say it's not quite as tough as Super Meat Boy, or maybe a little bit more casual, but it's still got a lot of challenge. It is currently matching its lowest price ever for 75% off for $3.74. All right, we've made it to my top 3 games. All right, and number 3, we have Dicey Dungeons. Dicey Dungeons is a roguelike game where you play as a character who has been magically turned into dice by the dungeon master. So in this game, you're basically making your way through these randomized dungeons, doing turn-based battles. You collect these cards, which will have different dice amounts on them. So you're rolling the dice, and then you're placing the dice to choose which moves you're going to do. There's different characters, and they all have different ways that they roll the dice and different special moves. The game has multiple different campaigns for each of the characters, so they each have their own little story that they go through. This is a really hard one to explain what makes it so special. I think just looking at it, you kind of think, what's that? It kind of looks like whatever. There's just something about this game, though, when it clicks in your head, you've picked just the right moves, you've gotten just the right roll of the dice, and it all just plays out beautifully. It just feels really good in your brain. It just clicks perfectly. I don't know how else to describe it. But this is easily one of my favorite Switch games. I have dropped hours and hours and hours into this game. It's definitely one of those types of games where my family saw me playing it and they're like, why are you playing this? Why do you like this so much? But you just have to play it to kind of understand for yourself. And Dicey Dungeons is currently 66% off for $5.09. All right, my second most recommended game this week is Scourgebringer. Scourgebringer actually comes to us from the same developer as Neurovoider. This is a balls to the walls, crazy 2D action platformer roguelike. If you want a roguelike that makes you feel insanely powerful, Scourgebringer is definitely the one. Basically in the game, humanity has been more or less wiped out, and you are making your way into this tower to find your way through all these cybernetic creatures to find out what has happened, where everyone has gone. Other people have been sent in before you and no one's ever made it out, but that's where you come in and you're the one who can get through it. The game has an amazing unlocked skill tree so that you're just getting better and better in each run with just insanely cool new moves that you're constantly unlocking. I absolutely love Scourgebringer. I don't think I can say enough positive about it. Again, another game I've just sunk hours and hours and hours into, and it is currently at its lowest price ever, 45% off for $9.34. You will definitely get your money's worth for that amount. All right, my last recommendation is a game that came out just this week, and it has an amazing launch sale, and that is The Last Friend. I did get a key for this game. I haven't played it enough to give it my full recommendation, but what I've played so far, I love. This is a genre mashup that basically mashes up Plants vs. Zombies style lane strategy along with a beat 'em up. But you play as a character who is trying to find out why all the dogs are going missing in this post-apocalyptic world. And along the way, you find dogs, you recruit them, and they run the turrets along the lanes. You yourself get to play as the beat-em-up guy, taking on all the baddies. Personally, I think the game was already fairly reasonably priced at $14.99, but they are doing a steep launch sale discount for 50% off for $7.49. Please support this developer. Let developers know that we are willing to drop the money, especially when they do these sort of launch sale prices. That means a lot to the consumer. All right, so those are my top picks, but now hold on for this deal reel so you can see some more great deals in the eShop right now.
I'm on my own, broken alone. I feel the rain crashing down all around this empty town. I'm searching for the lost and found, but you don't care, you're unaware. Keep moving like the scars aren't even there. It's in the air like a blazing flare. Just stare 'cause the flames will burn us. I thought you were the one for me. That's why I gave when you cried for me. Hold your hand while the pain was over. Keep you warm by the roaring sea. You meant the world to me. Shadows in the atmosphere, charting the stratosphere. Yeah. I prayed for you and kept you near in hopes you'd chase away my fears. I'm on my own, you made it so, and now I'm chasing nightmares through. I used to run with you through the great big leaves, laugh at you when you laugh at me. Hope for us because I believe the home was just you and me. I thought you were the one for me. That's why I gave you everything. Held you close by the stormy seas. Oh, you meant the world to me. No point in blaming you, you did not know. Oh. I thought you were the one for me. That's why I gave you everything. Held you close by the stormy seas. Oh, you meant the world to me. Oh, you meant the world to me.
All right, all you tricksters, I hope you saw some great deals that look good to you. Let me know down in the comments below what you're thinking of picking up. If you liked what you saw, make sure you hit the subscribe button. And until next time, I hope you have great gaming. Bye-bye.